Alright, so now that One Punch Man Season 2 has finally completed both of its Japanese and English runs, most recently on Toonami, it is now time to, of course, talk and speculate about One Punch Man Season 3. So I get asked about this all the time, constantly, so I want to use this video as a way to just answer those questions and to just put this out there in the zeitgeist so people can probably get a good understanding of what is going on with Season 3. So the big number one question, of course, is when is Season 3 going to come out? Now, of course, we don't know. No one knows, but I can kind of give you guys a pretty good idea of when we'll get Season 3 or if we'll even get it in the first place. So let's go back to when Season 1 originally aired, and that was October 4th of 2015, and Season 1 concluded December 20th of the same year. And then after that, we got 6 OVAs, and they started on December 24th of 2015, and then the sixth and final one concluded on May 31st of 2016. So that was the date that Season 1 completely wrapped up. So we'll kind of use that as one of the reference points. So as Season 1 was coming to an end originally, Murata said that they can't make Season 2 without tons of updates from him. And then he said what he was working on at the time. So this was said a couple days before Season 1 concluded. And at this point in time, which was December 17th of 2015, Murata had been working on Chapter 58, and he had completed Chapter 57 beforehand. And that was when Garo was fighting Metal Bat. So the tons of updates that he's talking about was at least almost 30 chapters, because Season 2 wound up ending on Chapter 84, and that wound up being completed 2 entire years after Murata made this comment. So I think this is really large in part as to why Season 2 took so long to get produced and eventually came out and everything. It was mainly because of the gap of manga content that needed to be produced at the time. Now, this is also why I think that we're probably in a better situation right now with the production or the alleged production of Season 3, because we're not really in that kind of predicament right now with the manga content, and I'll go into that later. But there is another factor that goes into the production of just Season 2 and other seasons in general, and he says that it depends on the Blu-ray sales. He says this later that same month. So the Blu-ray sales is an unfortunate factor here, because I don't really think that should matter. I think physical medium is obviously becoming more and more obsolete as time goes on, and it really only matters on streaming. But we're going to have to go to them regardless, because I guess they do matter. And let me also, remind you that this was said in 2015, which is almost 5 years ago. So maybe things have changed. Unfortunately, One Punch Man Season 2 didn't sell so well, at least the first Blu-ray. So it apparently sold 1,265 copies in its first week, and that's pretty bad because Season 1 sold 8,887 in its first week. So does that mean that we're not going to get Season 3 because of this? I honestly don't know. And it would be really unfortunate if that was the case, because, like I said, physical mediums and Blu-ray sales shouldn't really matter anymore because times have changed, and it should just be reflected on, the streaming stuff. But anyway, it doesn't really mean that One Punch Man as a series or an IP is, declining in popularity or interest or anything. That's definitely not the case, because I can assure you that it is consistently ranked in the top 10 of the best-selling mangas in the world. So that's not really an issue. It's mainly Season 2 that we're looking at here. And obviously, there is a discrepancy in the quality between Season 1 and Season 2. And I hate to, put the blame on JC staff and sound like a broken record like everybody else, but we have to put the blame somewhere, unfortunately. And they are responsible for why Season 2 probably didn't sell as well as it did on the Blu-rays. Now look, I know that animation and producing it is extremely difficult. And I know that these animators are overworked and underpaid. And I know that, the conditions, everything, it just sucks and it could be so much better. And I feel for them. But at the same time, it's somebody has to take the blame for this. And obviously, you just didn't put out as good of a product as season 1. So at this point, honestly, it's like up in the air if we'll even get season 3 at all. I just don't know at this point. You know, the Blu-ray sales, that was only for the first release. Maybe they'll get better. I haven't seen any other info on this. But I just wanted to reiterate that One Punch Man as an IP is doing pretty good. So I wouldn't worry about that, just mainly if season 3 will come at all. But if it does come out, let's look at the timeline of it possibly being released. So, season 1 basically wrapped up in completion like around May 31st of 2016 with the release of the final OVA. So then, 1 year and like 4 months after that, on September 25th of 2017, we finally got the announcement that One Punch Man Season 2 was going to be a thing, and it was in fact going to be produced by JC Staff. So that's like the time frame of it just being announced, was like a year and some change. So that could be like the time frame that we're looking at for season 3, if it is going to be a thing, like maybe like a year and like, I don't know, a couple months from now, which would mean that it would probably be, I don't know, like in the summer of 2021 or something like that, if we're just going off of how it occurred before, because the OVAs that we have right now are already being released, each individually with each release of the Blu-rays. So the first one was released in October, and we're now on the 4th one, which is going to be released the 28th of this month. And I'm assuming that we're probably going to get 6, you know, since we got 6 originally. So that means that we're going to get the 5th in February, and then we're going to get the 6th in March of this year. So then if we go like a year and 4 months after that, we'll probably wind up, you know, in like the summer of 2021, when we might hear if season 3 is getting produced at all. So let's go further and try to figure out when it actually might be released. So after that initial announcement of it being produced by JC Staff in September of 2017, almost a full year later, on August 12th of 2018, it was finally announced that One Punch Man Season 2 would in fact come out in April 2019. So it being released at that point means that it was like almost 3 years after the last OVA of Season 1 was released. So I guess, you know, just looking at it from an estimation standpoint, without throwing any other factors into there, we might see Season 3 in like 3 years. But I personally think that it might be sooner than that, because let's go back to what Murata said about the tons of updates that originally kept Season 2 from being released sooner. Because we're not in that position right now. We do have plenty of content that has been released after Chapter 84, where Season 2 ended. Because now we're all the way up to, at least currently, Chapter 125. Which means that we're 40 chapters in between Season 2 and what Season 3 could be. So let's take a look at the previous seasons, because now we can go into, you know, the second big question that I get, and that's, how long is Season 3 going to be, and what chapters are it going to cover? So Season 1 covered chapters 1 through 37, meaning that it was 37 chapters. Season 2 covered chapters 38 through 84, and then it covered like that one A New Wind Blows chapter. So we'll say like, I don't know, 46 and a half or 46 and a quarter chapters was Season 2. So, you know, that was like a 9 chapter increase from Season 1. But Season 2 also moved at a much faster pace than Season 1 to cram-pack all of those chapters in there. So now, like I said, with Season 3, we already have at least 40 chapters of established manga content to get into that season. But does that mean that they want to go as long as Season 2 was? Do they want 46 chapters or around there, you know, similar to that? That means that, like, I don't know, the next 6 chapters, meaning that it would be like chapter 131, in theory, could be where Season 3 ends, if they want it to be the same. I honestly don't know what they're going to do with this, because we already have more than enough content to fit into Season 3. Like, in my opinion, it could end on the S-Class getting beat up by the cadres, or it could end earlier than that with Saitama fighting Orochi, or maybe they want to do like an Attack on Titan thing and split up Season 3 into 2 parts so that it can cover the entirety of the Monster Association arc in full. I'm not really sure, or maybe they'll just save the rest of it for season 4. You know, it just remains to be seen. But given all of these factors, aside from the questionable suspect Blu-ray sales, we might get season 3 sooner than you expect. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. If you're wondering, like, all of the storylines that are going to be included in season 3, I have a playlist dedicated to that, so I'll have it at the end of this video. And then other than that, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. If you liked the video, guys, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon. It gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you